from compliance concerns to the time-consuming process of manual shift allocation, can be demanding. Get ready to experience the next level of smart features that will revolutionize how you handle shifts.
Well, looks like we had a slight little hiccup today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another installment of ISV Success Live. My name is Brian Galicia, and I lead our global Dynamics ISV business here at Microsoft. And it's an honor to welcome Velrada, both Jordan and David, to the show today. I'm going to see if I can run, for some reason, I'm not sure why the video they were trying to run at the very beginning had paused, but I'm going to try to rerun it one more time, and then we'll officially get started. So let me see if this will actually work again.
Navigating through daily challenges in workforce management, from compliance concerns to the time-consuming process of manual shift allocation, can be demanding.
Well, that's interesting. So much par for the course on a Monday. I'm not quite sure why it was just pausing there, but we'll make sure that that video is kind of seen, and we'll try to run it at the end. Maybe the other clip that we have will be more efficient. But anyway, it's a Monday. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to join us on ISV Success Live. The purpose of these calls is we use it to really showcase our amazing Dynamics ISV ecosystem out to many of not just Microsoft sellers, other partners in the ecosystem, and by chance, if you are a buyer looking for scenarios like workforce management, roster management, or the vernacular you'd like to use, that this is an opportunity to learn a little bit more about our partners. And so before we get started, a quick couple housekeeping items. So as we get started, if you want to type in where you're watching from around the world, we actually would love to hear where you're watching from. So if you're taking this call like Jordan is from out in Perth, Australia, and we want to thank him for staying up super late to join us today, feel free to put that in the window, or anywhere in between Seattle to somewhere in Europe or anywhere, feel free to put that in the window. We'll shout out people at the very beginning. Throughout the event, if you have a question, we actually might have time towards the end to actually ask a specific question to people, or to both David and to Jordan. So if you want to type that question in the LinkedIn window, I'll be able to catch it and see it, and also comment and ask Jordan and David in real time. And then finally, as we're having the dialogue, if there's something that really piques your interest and you're enjoying the conversation, you can utilize the like or one of the emojicons in the LinkedIn experience, and that gives us a high level visibility that the content and the information is resonating. So without further ado, thank you, Jordan and David, for joining. And one of the first questions I always ask my guests is what your roles are at the organization, in this case, Velrada. And then, of course, one of my favorite icebreaker questions is what's one thing not on your LinkedIn profile that you're open to sharing with this global audience who may come across this on the replay or are watching live. So Jordan, we'll start with you. Maybe you can give a little bit about yourself and what's one thing not on your LinkedIn profile you're open to sharing.
Yeah, cheers, Brian, and thanks for the introductions. Hey, folks, my name's Jordan Halloran. I'm a sales director at Velrada. I've been with the business for 6.5 years, just gone. Based here in Western Australia, and have been for this entire time, but currently look after our growth activities in the North America region, which has been really exciting for the last couple of years. Something that you probably wouldn't know about me from my LinkedIn profile, I've spent the last 6 months or so trying to master the art form of being a card magician, which is fun and for parties, and actually really frustrating because it's quite technical. And then a second thing that you probably wouldn't be able to get from my LinkedIn, and maybe a bombshell for any of my local connections that are listening, the family and I, with Velrada's help, are in the process of planning our relocation over to the US to really turbocharge our ramp up of growth in the region.
I love it, Jordan. So maybe next time you'll have to showcase your card skills on it. Maybe at a high level, what's your favorite card trick? Is it something where you pick a card, or like do you tear a card up, or make a card disappear and all of a sudden it's showing up somewhere? What's your it's kind of your favorite trick?
Yeah, I really like the ones where you sort of mess the deck up. So you put someone's card, or they put it into a spot, and then you flip the cards one way, flip the cards the other way, really mess it up, but somehow with a wave of your hand and a click of your fingers, you manage to turn everything back the right way.
Love it. Well, if we had time, that would have been kind of a cool thing. If I knew that ahead of time, maybe we would have carved out less than a minute to have you show a quick card trick in front of the mass audience of LinkedIn.
We can come back. We can come back and do it for sure.
Okay. I love it. I love it, Jordan. Thanks for joining, for sharing that. So, David, we'll go to you again. Same thing. What's what is your specific role at Velrada, and what's one thing not on your LinkedIn profile that you're open to sharing to the masses here?
Hi everyone, so I'm David Conti. I'm the General Manager of Product at Velrada. So I look after our suite of ISV tools that we've been building on top of the Microsoft platform and the roadmap we've got for there, and especially PowerRoster, which we can talk a little bit about today. And I've seen some of Jordan's card tricks. They're pretty good. If you watch very closely, you might catch him out, but he has gotten pretty good at doing them. The one thing not on my LinkedIn profile that I thought I'd bring up today, when I was younger, my mother used to run welfare centres outside of prisons for the families coming to visit. And I used to go along with her and help out looking after the children, running activities, etc. So my parents always instilled trying to give back to the community. And even now, it's a bit different, but through my son's school, I'm involved on the board. And then my wife is president of the School Parents Association. So we try to get back to the school however we can.
Yeah, bravo, David. You think about it, is that sometimes us as humans, we're never perfect. And so I love and applaud what you've done and what you instill your kids on it, because giving back is a great way to do it, especially for people who make a mistake and they realize, oh my gosh, how do I get out of it? And especially when kids are involved. And so it's amazing. And thank you for doing what you do. So let's go back into kind of the core of the conversation. And when you think about what does Velrada do, because that's the thing when we host these events every Monday, it's really to showcase who are you, what are the business outcomes. And so maybe, Jordan, we'll start with you. What are the business outcomes that Velrada provides? And of course, unfortunately, for some reason, I don't know why the video wasn't working this time around, because it normally usually does. And I tested it and like it did run all the way through. I'm not sure why it's not doing it today. So we couldn't tease out at a very high level this scenario, but maybe you can talk about, and then we'll go to you, David. Maybe you can talk about what are the business outcomes Velrada helps to solve in the workforce automation scenario.
Yeah, sure. So if you Google Velrada, everybody, you will realize that we are a Microsoft systems integrator. So we deliver everything that Microsoft offers under the cloud platform. And we've been in operation since about 2009. So we're a gold partner across a heap of different competencies, but generally it's business applications led. And so we're talking digital transformation outcomes, generally from a D365 or Power Platform point of view, and mostly within two discrete industry segments. So generally it's either healthcare or it's asset intensive industry. And that sort of experience as an SI within that space has allowed us to identify areas for the development of intellectual property and solutions. And so we launched the PowerWorker platform about 5 years ago, and that's the division that David leads. Within the PowerWorker platform, we cater for everything from asset management through to rostering. And really today's session is to focus in on our flagship ISV solution, PowerRoster, which is your advanced workforce management solution for Power Platform and D365. And I think the platform originally came into fruition because we saw a gap in the stack that we were sort of needing to work around within the field service space. And then spent a lot of time collaborating with the PG group, the product engineering folks, to sort of look at roadmap options and see whether or not it was worthwhile us plugging that gap permanently. And look, it certainly has been. So it's been a huge demand from the market and huge success of the solution. And fortunately, I think with the advancements of the underlying Power Platform and dynamic services that we leverage, and what can be done in low code and in sometimes high code these days, we've been able to really continue to add to PowerRoster's feature set over the years. And so this latest release that we just dropped in April, which is release 7.2, I think, Dave, is this a release that really lifts the product to a whole new level. So we've got Copilot AI features built into PowerRoster, and a whole heap of new feature set that for me take us from being a really valuable solution on the Power Platform, but perhaps not a tier one workforce management rostering solution, right up to being there or even ahead of the competition within that space.
Yeah, what a great intro, Jordan, because we hosted Velrada, because this was over a year ago, on innovation, and you touched upon it, Copilot. I mean, I think with all the Gen AI and things that are out there, some of those use cases have definitely evolved to where you can ask AI certain things and have it pop up. And if we're able to run that video, then we'll show kind of maybe showcase that, and we'll try to do that again at the end. But David, anything to add from your perspective on what Jordan said, particularly because you're running the team that actually is building and driving the innovation of the product? Anything else you'd like to add to what Jordan has said?
So I guess as Jordan was saying, so I was leading the Dynamics practice for Velrada 8 years ago when Field 1 first became Field Service within Microsoft. And that's where a lot of our clients were implementing Field Service, obviously for works management, but then trying to manage who was actually available to do the work, the rostering aspect. So that's where PowerRoster came along to fill that gap. But what we discovered very quickly after getting to market with the product was there's a lot of people out there who are running on legacy rostering systems or spreadsheets who they needed something new. And to have something that was available to them on the Microsoft platform standalone was very appealing, especially with the tight integration with Teams and now with Copilot and all those features, and the ability to extend it with the Power Platform. It makes a difference for clients, and we've seen a lot of growth in that space as a result. And as Jordan mentioned, we've now got a compliance module, and what we see with Copilot is really starting to simplify those processes for staff. So when someone says, I'm going to be off next week, it's not just a leave application. It's understanding their rostering details. What work are they scheduled? How do we fill them? Do we contact a supplier and automatically put them in to take over the jobs? There's a full end-to-end journey that comes with someone taking some time off next week. So really, Copilot's going to help us kind of piece all that together, however the business works, and make it a seamless process going forward.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I mean, you think about that innovation itself and managing when people are available because of certain things, and like life happens. And so when people are on sick leave or taking a holiday, making sure they're not in the pool of people to pull from when it's time to build a quote unquote a roster or a workforce scenario to go after it. So because, of course, Velrada has this, from a partnership perspective, and you said it well, Jordan, you cover both the SI and the ISV point of view. Maybe you could talk about what's the experience been like, because, of course, the innovation and working closely with Microsoft in driving the innovation on Dynamics and in particular Power Platform, and extending, and you covered it, David, like you're extending capabilities in core field service or even customer service on scenarios that are areas that ISVs can thrive, because you're enhancing an area that we may not do as well or offer in a robust scenario that people need. And so maybe we'll go back to you, Jordan. What's the experience been like being a Microsoft partner and being part of the Microsoft AI Cloud Partner Program? I can never say that so many times super quick because it is a mouthful. But you think about being part of the program. What does that mean? What does that meant for Velrada in driving the innovation together?
Yeah, look, I think being a Microsoft partner, it comes with lots of challenges, but the opportunity far outweighs any of the challenges that anyone would face. And that's even more so accurate when you look at becoming an ISV provider. I think Velrada has, as an SI, done a really deliberate job over the last half decade to focus in on specific industry verticals to leverage our experience to have a point of difference, and that's allowed us to sort of grow internationally from our footprint here in Australia. With the ISV side of the fence, we were able to leverage a lot of those strong relationships with the Microsoft field sales team in order to land our capabilities like PowerRoster into those customers. But of course, there's a much broader customer pool that a solution like PowerRoster is applicable to. And we've delivered the solution to a whole range of different industry segments, and that could be a challenge. I think it's not easy to market your ISV solution to the masses. We get quite a bit of inbound activity from AppSource and the Teams marketplace because we have a Teams app, but it's never quite as good as a direct relationship with one of the Microsoft field members. So I think solutions like this, where we're able to try and reach out to the Microsoft sales community and the partner community, it gives us an avenue to hopefully build a reputation that people will remember PowerRoster next time they hear a workforce management requirement, and think of the ISV rather than maybe a customization or a third-party solution. And I think the other thing that's been strong for us, where we've been able to take the opportunity, but we'd certainly like to do more of it, is partnering with other SIs to deploy PowerRoster and the other PowerWorker pieces of IP. We've done it very successfully through other, I guess, mid-sized SIs, one in the UK that went really well, and also through Microsoft Industry Solutions and the old MCS team, particularly in North America. But we'd see that as being an area where we could do lots and lots more. And so, yeah, hopefully there's people out there listening that will remember PowerRoster next time a rostering requirement comes up.
Yeah, no, that's great, Jordan. Yeah, that you hit it spot on the benefits of being a partner across many different partnerships. Is that also what I refer to as partner to partner, being able to have your IP be visible to other SIs doing deployments, because of course we have hundreds and hundreds of SIs around the world driving innovation or implementations like you are, but sometimes they're in a situation where you will never be, and they're going in to go drive that value proposition, and they realize, whoa, we need repeatable IP that resolves or addresses this workforce scenario. And so that's fantastic. So David, anything else to complement or add to what Jordan mentioned, or from your perspective on being a partner in the ecosystem, driving innovation on the roadmap, etc.?
I think one of the things we really learned was, if you're passionate about implementing the Microsoft solution and you're doing it to the best that you can, and you reach out to the engineering team, they've actually got an interest in engaging with you. They want to hear about your journey, what's you see from the community into what needs to happen with the product, and they're willing to share back with you what their roadmap is, their plans, and give you suggestions and advice on the journey you're going down. And that makes a huge difference to have that connection, because that it's a combined journey. So we talk quite often to the field service, customer service teams about the journey that they're going down, and we explain to them what we're doing with PowerRoster and our other products, so then they can share that internally as well, which has definitely helped us connect to more of the Microsoft sellers that Jordan has mentioned, and led to quite a few opportunities in that space. And I guess in the partner ecosystem, I attended the US community event a number of years ago, and got to meet who I guess you'd call in the Dynamics community your heroes, because they're on all the podcasts and running CRM tip of the day and those sorts of things. And it was really good to collaborate with them and actually talk about the pros, the cons, the challenges that you're seeing and how you're solving them, and actually find out if there's other areas that we can work together, or solutions that people have to get the better outcomes.
Yeah, that's well said. I think for what you and Jordan had articulated, that engagement with the Microsoft field organization is super critical, because of course they're in these large customer conversations where workforce scenarios could come up. And of course, they're looking at it and going, okay, does our out-of-the-box capabilities provide the end-to-end value that a customer needs? And that's why our ISV ecosystem thrives, because we don't. It's impossible. If any one company says they do everything, it's really hard to, because there's all these use cases that innovation can come from many different places. And that's why our partnerships like with Velrada can thrive, because of the things. And I should have mentioned at the very beginning, one of the things that is also very impactful for what your organization provided, you're also inner circle. And so for those of you in the Dynamics world, who know what that is, that's a very prestigious recognition, because at the very highest end, we only select a very handful of our dynamics, and this is a very specific dynamics thing for biz apps. We only select a handful based upon growth and capabilities, and Velrada was one that had that recognition this past year, and I had a great opportunity not only to reconnect with Jordan, but many of his peers when we were out in Southern California earlier this year, just engaging and celebrating the success that you had. So one of my favorite questions is, what is the customer stories around the customers that have impacted this? And if we were able to run the video, people would have seen the use cases around workforce management, around healthcare, public service, public sector, etc. So maybe we'll start with you, going back to you, Jordan. What are some of the stories that you have witnessed and seen? Of course, from a sales perspective, it's going to be great seeing your side too, David, on what you see from the product perspective. So maybe Jordan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. Look, we've been really fortunate with PowerRoster to now have deployed the solution successfully to a range of different industry sectors. Like you said, we've done everything from police departments and justice agencies in the UK and Europe, to leisure campuses, to federal organizations, and right through to health providers. And so we've got a real broad brush. I think one of the things that's most exciting about where we're at right now is that we've got active deployments on the go with, I guess I'd say top tier, as big as they get, energy organizations that are going to use the solution as part of rostering and managing their field workforce, which is a real claim to fame, I think, for not only PowerRoster as a solution, but Power Platform and the Microsoft Biz App Stack for its acceptance to handle critical business processes at that scale. So that's a real big one for us. And then also we've got this move into an area that I think will be a really good fit for PowerRoster into the future, and that's complementing the digital contact center suite from Microsoft as the workforce management tool within that setting. And that's within a government body in the US. And so hopefully off the back of that, it'll be sort of PowerRoster rounding out that Microsoft story for a full digital contact center experience, where maybe Shifts doesn't quite cut the mustard for a complex 24/7 contact center, and they can scale up to something like PowerRoster as an embedded feature.
Yeah, that's great, Jordan. And you touched upon the digital contact center, because there was actually an announcement last week on some of the new capabilities around it. And it's great to see that Velrada actually has this use case scenario around the digital contact center, around your workforce scenarios. So David, we'll go to you. Like, what are some of the great stories, or some of your favorites as you've seen the scenarios get deployed and selected by customers around the world?
I think the favourites are always going to be the tech for social impact clients that we've worked with, and also the emergency services. Like, to be able to see how the product is making an impact, a difference for their frontline workers, the rostering, managing fatigue management, those sort of elements. And for a lot of them, historically, your rostering would be considered kind of a HR responsibility, part of your HRIS system, and that just resulted in operations using spreadsheets to do their rostering instead of having a combined collaborative approach. And bringing on PowerRoster, we've seen a lot of these operational teams be able to manage their rosters directly in PowerRoster and still be connected to the relevant HR system for the information that they need. And one of our West Australian customers who works in labour management, they have seen over a doubling of the number of candidates that they work with and deploy to their clients in a 3-year period. So that's quite exciting for them, that in their small team of people who manage these deployments, they're seeing that sort of growth. So and that's obviously, from a commercial perspective, what all businesses are looking for, is to be able to kind of double their outputs without having to double their staff.
Yeah, and well said too. It's like, how do you do more with less?
Yes,
I think that was especially in these economic conditions, sometimes it's like, how do you extend your staff in a way using technology without actually hiring more staff. And so that's a great scenario, David. So we're almost at time. So maybe we could wrap up with some call to action. And so Jordan and David will kind of keep you both on the live screen. And maybe you could describe, like, if for people listening to this, whether you're a Microsoft seller, a partner, is talking about the kind of use case scenarios of people that can get value from your organization, and maybe a buyer, someone listening to this, what are some things that you would recommend people do to learn more and potentially get to know your PowerRoster scenario in much more depth?
Look, there's information available on PowerRoster and of course Velrada in every channel that you can imagine. But I always think that particularly for this type of scenario, there's nothing better than a live demonstration. So we're super happy to jump on a call with anyone in any time zone and understand how you currently manage your workforce. More often than not, even if there's a third-party HR platform in place, there's spreadsheets that are doing the heavy lifting. Explain those to us. We'll then get enough context to be able to tailor a demonstration of PowerRoster for you, and then we'll be able to come back to you with a walkthrough. And generally, 60 minutes, and we can go sort of A to Z of the platform end to end, and you'll get a really good feel for how it would work within your Power Platform, Dynamics, and Teams environments. So yeah, contact any one of us on LinkedIn, via the website, via AppSource, via Teams, or of course back through Brian, and we'd be happy to jump on and give you a demo.
Okay, go ahead, David. Anything else to add?
I think that's probably the key thing, is really having that contact to make it personalized for what people are looking for. And as I mentioned, whether it's the customer, whether it's another partner, we want to engage and get the right outcome for people. You will find through the website, we do have a couple of short videos, as well as a webinar kind of focused around HR that we ran not too long ago. So there's some content you can self-serve as well.
I love it. And then again, I was just, for some reason, I think LinkedIn may have had a glitch. So if you're watching this on LinkedIn and the feed went away, it looked like it came back, but in case it went away, we actually will make sure that the YouTube version of this gets posted in the thread as well, so that people can watch the replay in entirety. And I apologize, maybe it's a Monday today for some reason. I've never seen these glitches before happen in the experience, but we'll make sure that for people who may have been watching and got interrupted, that you get access to this. We put a bunch of information in there, the aka.ms/PowerRoster. I'll just run this through again. This goes to the AppSource listing of the solution that Velrada has for workforce management. Their main site, Velrada.com, and as Jordan mentioned, like, being able to get contacted for demonstrations, etc. PowerWorker.com/contact are great ways to go do it. And because this is on LinkedIn, guess what? You can reach out to Jordan, to David, and more myself. Feel free to send a connection request. Say you watched this scenario and you're still learning more, and the team is more than happy to engage. So with that being said, I'm going to try to run maybe the longer one, Jordan, this time, because because you have the long one in there, and we're going to have time for me to run at the end. But before I do so, any closing comments, Jordan or David, before we wrap up and attempt to run the longer video for people to really see the power of the PowerRoster?
No, look, just to say thanks, Brian, for giving us the slot, and thanks for being there whenever we need you. Anyone, please do reach out, and look, if we have to run this again, Brian, I'll make sure I have a deck of cards ready for an ad-lib.
I love it. Yeah, David, anything else before we wrap up and try to run the longer video?
Look, thank you for your time, and everyone watch out. In 2 sessions time, it's going to be number 100 for Brian, so it should be an exciting session.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, this is episode 98. So yeah, it's hard to believe that we're just going to hit the century mark in 2 more episodes, and it's perfect time because the last 2 episodes are going to wrap up our fiscal year. So I didn't time it that way, but it ultimately ends up where we're going to have that. So again, thank you so much, Jordan and David, for staying up super late, because I know for both of you being in Australia, definitely truly appreciate you being part of the ecosystem and sharing your insight on the capabilities and the impact that you guys provide. So without further ado, let me attempt to run this video. Thanks again, both.
Thank you.
Navigating through daily challenges in workforce management, from compliance concerns to the time-consuming process of manual shift allocation, can be demanding. Get ready to experience the next level of smart features that will revolutionize how you handle shift scheduling and compliance management. Introducing PowerRoster Copilot, smart features powered by AI. Escape the manual shift allocation woes with Smart Assign. This feature, powered by AI, automates and optimizes resource allocation. Shift and duty planners can now relax as PowerRoster Copilot revolutionizes the scheduling game, eliminating time-consuming tasks and minimizing the risk of oversights. Say goodbye to the uncertainty of compliance. PowerRoster's Copilot compliance feature takes charge of legal and organizational regulations, providing real-time notifications and insights. Ensure your rosters meet standards effortlessly, turning compliance from a challenge into a strength. Meet your new assistant. PowerRoster Copilot introduces the Copilot Assistant, providing managers, planners, and frontline workers with quick insights into the impact of roster changes. No more guessing or manual calculations. With this AI-driven assistant, employees can make informed decisions swiftly, keeping the workflow seamless, even in the face of unexpected changes. Experience the future of workforce management with PowerRoster Copilot, smart features powered by AI. From proactive compliance management to automated resource allocation and quick insights into roster impacts, PowerRoster Copilot is your solution to today's workforce planning challenges. Upgrade now and let innovation drive your efficiency. Your journey to unparalleled workforce management starts with PowerRoster Copilot.